Hi everyone, I'm Albert, a high schooler in Houston who started working on Istio.io last summer. In this talk, I'd like to share some of my experience with the Istio community and what I learned about committing to Istio. This talk is pretty introductory and geared towards beginners as well as those who are thinking about contributing. So let's get started. Here's 5 tips for your first Istio.io contribution. So a little bit about myself. In school, I've had some coding and web development experience, but Istio was my first step into anything related to cloud computing. Over the summer, my first commit was a simple documentation fix, and after that, I added the automation indicator to a website, which I'm pretty proud about. I also started a website homepage redesign proposal, which hopefully has helped the website redesign coming soon. So here are some links to the things I've made, and the automation indicator was this check mark and icon and text on every page that shows if it's tested or not, which I'll talk about later. And this is a screenshot of a mockup I did for the homepage redesign proposal. And I want to start with a quote, which is, "First and foremost, as a potential contributor, your changes and ideas are welcome at any hour of the day or night, weekdays, weekends, and holidays. Please do not ever hesitate to ask us a question or send a PR." So I really think this quote encompasses Istio. And even though I started Istio as a high schooler in my first open source project, the community was extremely inclusive and helpful to me. And the important thing I learned is that anyone can contribute and everybody's contribution is valued. So the first step and the most valuable part of working on Istio for me was the experience and skills I learned. Istio and any open source project is a learning opportunity, and even now I've just scratched the surface. Especially as a new contributor, Istio is going to be all about the constant learning, and there's so much going on behind the scenes. Istio is a complex project, and Istio.io is a great place to start committing. Next would be to familiarize yourself with the community, getting to know others, and reaching out to ask for opinions on ideas. And also, don't be afraid to create issues, comment on other people's work, and more. Istio work is organized into working groups, and Istio.io falls under the Docs working group. Working group meetings are every other week, and they are a great way to stay updated on what other people are working on, and to meet other Istio contributors and the people who will be reviewing your first PR. In my experience, everyone is really friendly, and many times the meetings are pretty small with tight community feeling. And there's also a team drive with meeting agendas and design docs, as well as YouTube links in case you missed a meeting. So here are some links to join the Discord, Slack, and Team Drive. And once you join the Team Drive, it will be available in shared drives and hidden shared drives right here. And this is our Docs working group meeting notes. And every time we write an outline or an agenda here, and then during the meeting, we add notes. So reading this is a good summary of what we're doing every time. And I was actually really surprised to be on the top of the agenda and presenting my work at a few meetings, and the feedback from other contributors was wonderful. And even if you just listen along, attending working group meetings is a must, and maybe after a few meetings, you'll be presenting your own work. And next part of the talk would be Istio specific, and let's start with commits. Commits can be split into 2 groups, small changes and large changes. Small changes are the go-to for starters, and these could include small UI changes and documentation changes. So when you encounter any documentation issues or unclear parts, don't be afraid to help. An example of a small UI change could be here, which is matching the search results to the dark theme, and down here, which is fixing the padding of the search bar. So these are things I see on the current website which can be fixed. And the large changes include any long-term projects, and for those, it will be best to create an issue and ask for other people's opinions before starting to work on the commit. And for certain large projects, you might want to make a design document. So here we have a general contributing guide on this website. And this is the page for contributing documentation, which shows formatting standards and guidelines. And also it shows how to build the website locally. So our website runs on Hugo. And once you install Hugo and Docker, there's actually only one command to run the website locally, which is pretty neat. And the easiest way to make a contribution or change documentation would be to go here and edit this page on GitHub, and then down here create a new branch and commit. So another way to help is sorry. Okay, I forgot to mention design docs, which are for even larger projects. And this is one I remember from the summer, which is the website dashboard. And it was basically a dashboard where you would see user statistics for people visiting Istio. And this is my design doc for the main page improvements, which included the screenshot of the mockup I showed above. So another way to help is writing tests. Recently, we've implemented testing to our website, which basically automates check to verify documentation code and snippets on the website. There's a really neat framework for creating tests, which can be viewed on the GitHub. And two useful commands are make test status, which makes a table of pages that are tested, and make snips, which auto-generates a snips.sh file command, which contains commands on the page. And then you will have to create a test.sh file to run the snips. So I can show you what I'm talking about here. So for example, this is the directory for this external control pane page, and which includes snips.sh and test.sh. On this website, you'll see that the code and blocks or the commands match up with these snips functions on the snips.sh. And in the test.sh file, it calls the functions. And eventually the goal of this website is to validate that you installed it correctly. And here it will verify the installation by running the commands on this page. Okay, in my experience, the PR process is extremely smooth and everyone is helpful. And for your first PR, we are all extremely excited to help you get it accepted. I've never worked on an open source before, and one thing that stood out was how detailed the process was. After the majority of the work is done on the initial request, there are always so many new suggestions and ideas for reviewers, which help a lot. So after you submit a PR, you'll see a checklist like this where everything needs to get accepted or corrected. And one neat thing you can do is view your changes as if they're live. So for example, if we go to this pull request, which is the new website, and we can actually preview it by clicking here, which we'll see the new website, which is pretty cool. And sometimes a lot of times you'll have lint errors, and you can run make lint locally to verify changes and check for problems. And the linter basically checks that there's no spelling errors and all the links work and you followed the formatting properly. And also, don't forget to update or create a test for a page if you change the documentation for it. And so as a summary, don't be afraid to create issues, ask around and share your ideas, join a working groups. And for contributing, check out the style guides for documentation, look into writing tests and how they work. And as always, we're here to help you with your pull request. Thank you so much for listening and good luck with your first contribution.